So I've just found out a super cool effect that I thought I'd share. If you look at I'll make it a single viewer here, is what we're talking about. So I found out how to effectively make particles emit around an object. So obviously right now I have the particles coming from underneath the screen up into the screen and they're emitting around an object, which you can't see right now. The object that I've chosen I was just playing around with this Twitch PNG to see if I could get it to emit so I could see the whole, so I could see everything on that image, if you know what I mean. So like the white eyes, if I could see the white eyes, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Nonetheless, I have figured out how to do this, which I thought was a super cool effect. So yeah, right now it's going around. So it's going from the bottom, going around and then up. If I move my emitter, I'll just zoom out here. So obviously right now the particles are emitting in this whole radius. They're coming out, if that makes sense. So when I move it up, you can see that it's kind of displacing around the outlines, but not really what I wanted. If I move this emitter to the left, you're not going to see any particles because I've set my emitter to emit particles from the bottom to the top. So to emit them from the left to the right, I have to go down to the angle here. So I'm in particle emitter controls. Angles currently at 90 degrees. If I put it at 0 degrees, I think that makes it left to right. Yeah, so you can see I can get it to emit from the left to the right and it still avoids the logo there. And you can kind of see this outline here, how it steps down, and then the composition restart to give it a sec to reload. So you can see it slowly hit the edge of the logo and then it steps in and then down, and that little step there is this step, and then it continues along lower, and you can see that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've got going on and what I am trying to show you today how to do. It's not going to be a super clean, nice tutorial either, just because I've just learnt it. So this is what we're going to need. We're going to need a particle emitter node, a particle avoid node, particle render, as well as something to emit around. It doesn't matter what it is, a brightness contrast or a bitmap. I'm going to open up a new Fusion composition, go into it. Obviously all I have is my media out. I'm gonna shift spacebar, get a background. You can also drag a background in from here. Connect the background. It's just black for now. Let's make it red. No, actually, let's keep it black. Keep it black. And then I'm just gonna put a merge node in. So that background's gonna be obviously the background of where the particles are. Merge node over the top. Then I'm going to get a P emitter node. Something I also learned today, if you want to follow, if you go into effects library inside of Fusion and then tools, you can find all the particle related nodes under here. This is every single particle node that you possibly need. So we're going to use a P emitter, we need a P avoid, and we need a P render. So they go in together just like that, emitter into the avoid, into the render, and then out here. So by default, the emitter is always going to start off at that size. I'm just going to click on it and drag it a lot bigger, which reduces the density of the particles. So then I'm just going to increase the number. So I'm just going to take it all the way up because I've increased the size and it's density related, as in like particles per pixel or whatever, however that works. Need a lot more particles to fill the space. Then I'm just going to go into the style, blob, and that's just because blob allows them to become much bigger particles, as you can see here. They're still by no means massive, but I think that you can add size, yeah, the Z scale, and that can give you some really big particles. I'm not really sure how all that works exactly. Let's add in a couple bigger ones using that Z scale. Okay, so that's all we need to get our particles started. And I guess to emulate the same effect, let's just click on the middle here and just drag it down so you can see. Right now, if I press play, I don't think these are going to move. So they're just going to spawn, but they're not going to move. So we need to get them to move as well. To get them to move, we just need to go back to the controls panel, velocity, and add in some form of velocity. Now, velocity can be so fast in this. If you put this at 1, they're Usain Bolt across the screen, right? So depends how fast you want them to be. Obviously, the faster you want your effect to be, the faster the velocity is going to be. So now they're moving left to right. I want them to move bottom to top. So I'm just going to change the angle to 90 degrees. Now you're going to see them moving. They're going to originate at the bottom and move up. So you can see there. They're not going all the way. And I assume that's because of their lifespan. So right now we have a lifespan of 100. I assume that's 100 frames. If I increase that lifespan to 1,000, they're going to keep moving up through. Yeah, and you see the up towards the top is now more full. They just need to increase your lifespan if you want them to last longer, which means I can bring them down. I can bring it down here now, and the particles will still be alive when they're up the top. So now we've got our particles pretty much sorted out. We don't have to do anything with this render node. What we need now is this P avoid. So by default, if I disconnect these things, your avoid only has an input, which comes from some other particle node, and it has, so you input it, which obviously goes into the yellow, and then it has an output, and that's all you can do. What this node does is it attempts to make particle within the region that you specify not go near it. So all you can change by default is distance and strength, and if I increase both of them now, you see there's no effect, and that's because there's nothing currently, there's no specific shape that you're trying to make it avoid, if that makes sense. So I don't know how it's meant to work by default. There's a bunch of controls in here. I don't know probability. I haven't played with that yet, but what you have to do is go into region, and inside of this region, select bitmap, and that opens up this bitmap input. Now we're just going to grab a bitmap. We're going to plug the bitmap in, and then you can select really whatever you want for. Then you can really select whatever you want, whatever image you want, as long as you can get some kind of bitmap off of it. So I'm just going to put in a loader node here, and so this is something I said I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll pick my Twitch image. But all that is just a PNG. That's all it is. And then if I put that into my bitmap, it's going to naturally avoid this whole thing, because if I show you what it looks like right now, it's just a big circle. So what this is doing is taking my Twitch PNG. Then if I look at the bitmap, which looks like that, and the bitmap is on this right hand side. I look at this bitmap over here. It is looking at the alpha channel of the Twitch PNG, and because it is a PNG, the only thing that it's seeing is this is all color, and then this is all alpha. So if I click this, it'll show you alpha of that, you see? So it's just seeing white means I'm going to avoid, black means there's nothing there and I can collide with it. So that's what is going on there. But if I get my bitmap on the left, keep my particle avoid on the right, so it's pretty big right now. I'm actually going to just add a transform node after my PNG just to reduce the size. And then you'll see how the particles are affected over here. So obviously it's had to restart, but you can see now they're on more inside the frame than before. If I reduce it again, they're going to be even more inside the frame. So it's just avoiding this circle here. So let's keep it at that size. That's pretty much if that's the effect that you're looking for, that's pretty much the effect done at this stage. So if I move my emitter around, I can move my emitter a bit higher up, and it'll start from here really. So there you go. That's pretty much the effect there. If you want to take it a step further, see, that looks really cool to me right now. That almost looks like a, I don't know, like the depth variations in the particles makes it look like a wall almost. If you can see it from my view, it almost looks like a wall going down. So what I'm going to do now, and I'll just show you this avoid. So if you look at controls, I haven't really played with this too much. If I decrease the, so that distance is, I believe, the distance from what you're saying it doesn't need to go around. So if I decrease that distance, I think that the particles are going to get much closer. You see that? So you can play with this control to see, yeah, what, like how close to the image it will be before it avoids it, how close to the input. Strength obviously also plays a factor. So strength, so if I put 0 strength on, you can see it's waiting until right when it's touching the circle. You can see a very clear straight edge circle around here, but if I increase the strength, it pushes it out a bit further than that original circle. Anywho, so I'm going to play with this now, this probability. If I decrease the probability a lot, if I decrease it substantially, some of it's going to get through. Some of it will get through, so it's not as strong of a effect. Which is kind of nice. If you can see that as a 3D image, you could see that, you know, if you had a character there or something, the particles could be going over his head or something. It was a 3D image. Anyway, we'll keep it back to this. Now I'm going to show you what I was originally intending on doing with this bitmap, if you're still interested. It's going to have the same effect right now, but I'll show you the difference. So if I look at this bitmap on this left hand side, it's obviously still just straight alpha. What I need to do to change that is look at the luminance of the image. So now it's comparing yeah, the difference. So the white is obviously the white here, and then it's looking at, yeah, it's comparing luminance values. I'm not a bloody expert, I don't know what luminance is. I think it's just lightness. So purple's pretty dark, so it comes out darker. Next I need a contrast tool. Anyway, all you need to do if you want it to be straight white is change the brightness and the contrast a bit. So full contrast is obviously going to get your biggest difference between your lights and your darks. And then if you just knock down the brightness a bit, then you end up with just your Twitch image. And then the particles can move around that Twitch image. So if I move my emitter into the middle of the screen, and then have them kind of almost no velocity. I don't know if you can, it's pretty hard to tell. Pretty hard to tell. But you can see if I increase the size, how it can just dodge a whole section here. So that is that right there. So yeah, that's, and if I move this around, maybe I can get the two eyes in here of the thing. So there's, increase the strength of this. Boom, you got your eye there and your eye there. You can see I can start to get some pretty cool little effects going with this, create like gravities and all kinds of stuff. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. I thought that I'd share it. So hopefully you learned something. I've definitely learned something mucking around with it. There's a lot more to mess around with, so I'm going to keep playing with them. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then do nothing. If you enjoyed this video, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And if I get inspired again, I'll make another one. Alright, happy 2021 everyone.
I don't give a damn cause I'm on route, coming for the crown, tell me who I gotta run through, I was in the room with the 1-2, did it myself, made it happen cause I want to, people always tell me what they gon' do, I don't sweat about it, I just move like a boss move, man it's really been long dude, but I'm here now and there's nowhere they can run to,